Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to your Monday morning reading lesson. We are going to get started on introducing vocabulary and our spelling words for lesson 8. So if you would please turn to page 352, we are going to look at your phonics skills, which go along with your spelling words this week. So we are looking at the suffixes able, ibble, less, and us. So when you read long words, you look for suffixes that you know. A suffix is a word part that is added to the end of a word and changes or adds to the meaning of the word. So we're going to look at these suffixes right down here, and then we're going to look at what they mean. So the suffix is able. Now you'll notice there's able and ibble. Both of them mean capable of. So when you're listening to a word and spelling word, you really want to listen for if it's an able or an ibble at the end. So we have valuable, which is value, which is the root word. Then you add the suffix able, and then you come up with valuable. You're going to notice that they dropped the E on value before they added the able. For capable, for ibble, it's capable of. We have flex and then ibble. And you'll see that flex doesn't have any end that we need to get rid of before we add on our suffix. Then we have less, which means without. And we have end, which is our root word. And we have less, which means without end, endless. Then you have OUS, and that means full of. And for that one, they say full of mystery, which is mysterious. Now you're going to notice that mystery ends with a Y. You have to drop the Y and add an I before you add the OUS, which means full of. So if you go next door on page 353, they have some sentences here for you to read. See if we'll make that a little bigger for you. So it says, read the sentences. Use the meanings of the suffix to help you define each underlined word. Use a dictionary to check your meaning. So hopefully you have a dictionary at home and it can help you. So you want to read these sentences out loud. So I used a colorless liquid in my experiment. So you want to think to yourself, what does less mean? And less means without. And then the root word is color, so it would be without color. Then you need to be sensible and follow safety rules when you do science experiments. So you want to look at the underlined word. It has ibble on it, and we know ibble is capable, and then the root word is sense, so it's capable of sense. The next one is wear comfortable shoes when you walk around the science fair. So we look for the root word, comfort, and we look for able, which means capable of, so it's capable of comfort. Then we have the experiment is worthless if you skip a step. So we find the root word, which is worth, and then we go to the suffix, which is less. So that's without worth. Then we go to the rocket experiment was marvelous. So we think about marvelous and we find the root word marvel and we see that OUS means full of marvel. And then we go to the last one, who is responsible for planning the science fair? We go to the underlined word, which is responsible. We find the root word, which is response. We look at able, which means capable of response. Right, so we're going to go to our spelling words for this week, and we're going to go through them and talk about the suffix and the root words of each word. Okay, so week 28, we are looking at suffixes, us, less, ibble, and able. So our first word is doable. In doable, you have the root word do and the suffix able. And able means capable. Our next word is famous. So we have the O-U-S. Our root word would be fame. And then we have us, which is full of. Careless. We have less, which means without. And we have care, which is our root word. Various. So various, we know that we drop a Y and add the I. So our root word would be very, and we have us. So we have full of, very. So very means lots of different varieties. Endless, we have our root word end, and our suffix was less, which means without end. Our next word is reliable. So right here we have a Y that was dropped and they added an I. So our root word would be rely with a Y, and then able, which is capable of relying on something. Next is nervous. So nerve is our root word, and they dropped the E on nerve before they added the O-U-S. Useless, we have the root word use and the suffix less, so we have without use. So we have flexible. So this is our root word flex, and our suffix would be able, which is capable of being flexed. So it has some sort of bend to it. Washable, our root word would be wash, and our suffix would be able, so it's capable of being washed. Helpless, we have the root word help and the suffix less, which is without help. Terrible, so we have ible, which is the I-B-L-E, which means we are capable. So there's the difference between terrible and then we had valuable. So remember, you're really listening for the ending sound, and if you're using the A or the I. There's the valuable that I was talking about. So we have the able, which is the suffix, and the root word is value. Now remember, they dropped the E on value and added the A-B-L-E. We have dangerous, so the root word would be danger, and then we have O-U-S. Powerless, we have the root word power, the suffix is less, and so that would be without power. Suitable, so we have the A-B-L-E, so our root word would be suit, and it would be capable. That's our challenge word. So we'll pause right there, and we're going to go to our vocabulary words. Okay, welcome back, and our vocabulary words this week go with the science fair, which is a realistic fiction story that you're going to be reading, and it's a story that has characters and events that can happen in real life. So we're going to get started on our vocabulary words. So our first word is humor. When you have a sense of humor, it means you enjoy telling and hearing about things that are funny, and we all love that. People who can laugh at themselves, even when they make a mistake, have a good sense of humor, as I'm sure many of you have a really good sense of humor. Abroad. If you go abroad, you go overseas to a different country. So people who travel abroad to experience different countries. So that means you go somewhere else outside of the United States to another country. That means that you're going abroad. Preparations. Preparation is everything you need to get ready for something. So everything that you do, everything that you get ready to actually do something. So I had lots of preparation before I could bake a cake. So that would be you would gather all of your supplies, you would read the directions. There's a lot of things you have to do to prepare to make a cake or to do something. Next would be gimmick. We see these all the time when we watch commercials. A gimmick is a trick or a way to grab people's attention. So if you look at the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, the cereal uses the gimmick of a free toy inside to attract kids to buy their product. You get excited. You're like, oh my gosh, look, they're going to give me something besides just the cereal. That's the way to get people to get their attention and to pull them to buy their product than somebody else's. Sprinkled. Oh, we love sprinkles, don't we? So sprinkled is if something is sprinkled, it means tiny pieces of something else have been scattered over it. So we sprinkled our cupcake with candy dots. Sometimes we call sprinkles, like if you go to Dairy Queen, you might get sprinkles, and they sprinkle the sprinkles on top of your ice cream. Next is expand. When things expand, they get bigger. The teacher told me to expand my writing to include more details. And I know when Mrs. Jockle does her writing lessons, she's constantly saying, okay, well, let's add more details. And when you add more details, you expand your writing. Erupt. Something that erupts breaks out of its bounds. The water will erupt from the fire hydrant when you open it. And during science, we were looking at volcanoes and we saw magma come up to the top and erupt out of the volcano into lava going down. And then we talked about igneous rocks. And then we talked about metamorphic rock and how those are all formed. And that was when a volcano would erupt. Thorough. If you do something in a thorough way, you do a careful and complete job. If you do not do a thorough job of brushing your teeth, you could get cavities. And we saw that could happen when we had Dr. McCaskey, the dentist, come and talk to us, the orthodontist, and he showed us under the microscope what it looks like when you would have something when you didn't quite do a thorough job of brushing. Though we all do have plaque on our teeth. We did learn that too. Deliberation. When something takes a lot of deliberation, it takes a great deal of thought. After much deliberation, I had a great idea. And then there you have, he looks like Einstein. Now there's an idea. It's when you take your time and you think. Grainy. If something is grainy, it is not smooth, but has many small hard pieces. The photograph was grainy and hard to see. Another type of grainy would be like if you were walking on a sandy beach and then you put your socks on and then you kind of put your shoes on and later you would take your socks off and you would have some sand, little grainy pieces of sand that were left in your shoes from the beach. All right, so that is the end of our vocabulary words. And like I said, this week we're going to be doing our realistic fiction story, which is the science fair. I think I really enjoy the science fair, and some of the science experiments you can actually do at home. And I know that a lot of you were watching the science experiments that your student teacher was doing this last week. And I hope you enjoy watching those and these really cool science experiments that you'll read this week that go along with our vocabulary words and your spelling words. Take care and have a great week.